Hello class, I wanted to continue with this idea of your essay having different parts. I've already covered paragraphs in a separate video, but in this video I wanted to cover introduction paragraphs and concluding paragraphs. Let's start with, of course, introductions. The first thing you want to do when you write your introduction is to hook your reader. You want them to be drawn in to what you're writing. Even a research article can be interesting and needs a hook to draw in your reader. Here are some things you can use to as a hook. You can use a striking statistic, an anecdote, which is just a short story that kind of sets the stage and makes your reader want to read more. You can ask a question. Not just have you ever thought about, but a striking questions. Draw their attention, not a yes or no question. When you say, have you ever thought about, that's a yes or no question. If you're going to start your essay with this kind of hook, make sure it's an open-ended question, which means that it can't be answered with yes or no. Start with an intriguing fact, or an emotional appeal, or a playful joke. A playful joke doesn't always work with research, but in this particular instance, I think it can with this article that you're writing about a community service. All right, next, set the context. Provide some general information about this idea. This is where you would start to do the background, give your audience a little mini education on your topic. Next, state why the main idea is important. Why should your reader care about what you're writing? Tell us why it's important. Next, explain any key terms. If you're writing about homelessness, use the key terms that come along with homelessness. Or if you're talking about adoption, talk about explain some of the key terms like foster homes and adoption agencies, if you need to, in your introduction. The introduction is almost like a mini education or a mini, you're teaching your audience about the subject that you're about to go into detail about. The next thing is to state your thesis. In this particular assignment, you're not doing persuasive or argument writing, so your thesis statement would be about the community service. You're not going to have an opinion one way or another, but in persuasive and argument writing, the last sentence of your introduction should be your thesis statement. Your introduction should not be too short or not too long. Your introduction should not take up a whole page. It should just be at maximum 10 sentences. If it's half a page, it's too long. You want to save some of that information for the body of your essay. Be concise. You are not introducing an argument. You're not telling the whole story about your community service. You're not debating its relevance. You're just introducing the topic. Save that part for the body of your essay. This is, some people learn visually. I thought this was kind of interesting. Visually, this is what your introduction paragraph should look like. The first sentence is in the yellow there is your hook. The next in the orange is your topic, your explanation, your teaching, you're giving information, you're talking about key terms. And the last sentence here is the thesis statement, or what you're about to tell your reader about the community service. Next, let's look at conclusions. Writing a conclusion. If you have written the introduction, then you have pretty much written your conclusion, because your conclusion is almost a restatement of your introduction. If you had a thesis statement, and in this case you're going to be talking about a community service, you're not going to take a position. but I would recommend that the first sentence of your conclusion, just repeat what you have. If you've said that homelessness is a problem in Pine Bluff and a particular service meets that need, then you just need to restate that again. You're going to summarize the main ideas from the body of your essay. Use 2 or 3 sentences to do this, just kind of a recap. You're going to end with the big picture. If you're arguing for policy changes, or in this case, you're talking about a community service, you're going to end with the big picture. How does this community service impact either Pine Bluff, the state of Arkansas, your hometown, your street, whatever that is? How does it impact that particular community? Or you could present hypotheticals. This is used a lot in arguments, problem-solving types of essays. It's a what if. What if we did away with homelessness? What would it look like? Or you can have a call to action. Tell your audience how what they need to think, do, feel, or believe. Appeal to their emotions, to their morals, character, and logic. That's ethos, pathos, and logos, which we'll get into in future weeks. What do you want your audience to think? You may not completely persuade them to come to agree with you, but at least leave them with something that they need to think about. Okay, to recap, your introduction and your conclusion are very similar. Your introduction, I'm going to back up here. Your introduction is going to start with a hook. You're going to explain the context or the background. You're going to state why this is important to your audience. You're going to explain key terms if necessary. You're going to tell them in a thesis why you're writing about this and what you're going to do, what you're going to tell them in the essay. And it's not going to be too short or too long, and you're going to be concise. And your conclusion is just the bookend on your essay. Introduction on one side at the beginning, and your conclusion, of course, at the end. Here's a little tip on conclusions. Don't start with "in conclusion." That gives your reader the impression that you're unsure that you're finished. Obviously, if you construct your conclusion in this way, restate your thesis or the purpose of your essay, summarize, and then end with either a big picture or a hypothetical or call to action, it's going to be a conclusion. You don't have to tell your audience that. So, all right, if you have any questions about introductions and conclusions, just let me know. I'd be happy to help. Thanks.